Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. My name is Aaron, and I'm joined as always by my cousin Landon.
Good day. Back to it.
How we doing?
Good. I'm excited about this topic. Yeah. It's been a good weekend, relaxing. But you know what? What really affects me in a positive way whenever I'm down is watching a musical.
All right, well, good segue, because today we are diving into the enchanting world of movie musicals. This is a genre that has been captivating audiences for decades, seamlessly blending the magic of music and storytelling on the silver screen. From timeless classics to modern masterpieces, these cinematic gems have the power to transport us to extraordinary worlds where melodies make toes tap and hearts soar.
Oh, listen to that.
Did you like that?
I did.
I've been trying to work on my introductions.
Was that off the cuff?
No, absolutely not. I'm so much better at writing things down than like just, thinking on my feet. Speaking of feet, whether it's Gene Kelly dancing in the rain, Julie Andrews spinning on top of a mountain, or Lin-Manuel Miranda stoking the fires of the American Revolution, we're here to discuss it all. Landon and I will be sharing our thoughts on some of our favorite musicals that have come and gone over the years, along with those catchy tunes that get stuck in our heads that never seem to let go. Earworms, I believe the kids call them. Just to set some ground rules for today's conversation, we will just be covering the live action musicals. Nothing animated in this episode. For that, you may want to go back and check out our episode on the Disney Renaissance, which we did just a few weeks ago. So without further ado, let's get into these classics, both old and new. Landon, how about you start by giving us one of your favorites?
Well, I got to say, when I was a kid, I think I was introduced to Rodgers and Hammerstein. Which one do you say?
I've always said Hammerstein.
Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cinderella, and
Leslie Ann Warren.
The Leslie Ann Warren one, yeah. And when I was a kid and I watched it, I was made to watch it.
Yeah, I was
too.
One of my mom's favorites.
Oh, it was my mom. My sister would watch it, and they loved it, and I did not. Really, and it was just the same thing, watching it over and over again. So watching that movie was probably my first introduction to musicals. My next was watching The Sound of Music. And so when I watched The Sound of Music, I was like, what is this? And that's a perfect movie for a kid, a boy, to come into musicals, because you get so much, it's got so much in it that's of course wonderful music, but the plot, and just the whole Nazi thing.
Yeah. That's an exciting movie without the music. It's Nazis, it's intrigue, there's a little bit of action, there's a little bit of humor. It's a good movie. It doesn't matter if you've got it's The Sound of Music, so there's got to be music in it.
Yeah.
But the story itself is very captivating.
And it's hilarious because I remember when I first watched it, the beginning, was just, I was like, here we go. Because you got the hill, then she goes and you got the nun. Climb Every Mountain was probably my worst song I ever, I was just like, oh my gosh. You
don't like Climb Every Mountain?
Well, as an adult, I do better. I like every song in Sound of Music now. But as a kid, then you get into it and you're like, oh, this guy, when you see Christopher Plummer, it's just like, oh, this guy's.
Do you know he hated it?
He hated the movie?
He hated doing it, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
right. Well,
you couldn't tell watching it.
Star Trek 6, so
he was, and he was a brilliant bad guy in Star Trek 6.
He was.
Sound of Music. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think when we talked about doing this episode, I suggested, hey, come up with a list of maybe your top 10. I couldn't stop at 10, I'll be honest. And so, I'm glad we're gonna have some that kind of cross over, because
I'm sure we will.
It's definitely on my list as well. Great movie. I believe it's our grandmother's favorite movie.
I would think so. Yeah.
It's one of them. I know. So a couple of years ago for her birthday, our Aunt Cindy, she rented out the Grandin Theater and had them show The Sound of Music for her and her friends. And I know I was able to go for part of it. I wasn't able to stay the whole time. I think I left at the intermission, but it was really neat to see it on the big
That's
screen like
awesome.
that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that maybe not are into musicals, and it probably are not listening to this podcast. I would imagine.
Hey,
Um,
to each their own.
to each their own. But I also think it's how you get introduced to it. So for starting off with Sound of Music and having that was a really good start for me. But there's also been moments that have been surges. So once I got involved, or when I was in college, Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge came out, and
Moulin Rouge.
that took me to a whole nother level of musical. And so I've got other ones, but that's the next one that was like a pinnacle for me, was watching Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman sing in that movie.
Were
What
you
about you?
surprised that Obi-Wan
Yeah,
Kenobi could sing?
I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Who
What?
saw that coming?
I was Nicole Kidman, for that matter. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
she's good.
I mean, man, I sang and listened to those songs so much.
I dare say his version of your song better than Elton John's.
Oh, I agree. 100%. 100%.
Apologies to Sir Elton if you're listening. But
If
I
you're
mean,
listening.
the arrangement is really good. And tell you what, Ewan's got some pipes.
He does. Well, and the Elephant Love medley, that homage to all those love songs was beautiful. When I was in theater in college, and I was Daddy Warbucks and Annie, I had to prep for my voice for different songs because the range in that was up and down. And so I would go into a theater by myself, and I would prep sing a few different songs, Phantom of the Opera, and I would sing your song and the Elephant Love medley to prep my voice, because again, the range is so, oh, it
Yeah,
just blows my mind, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I've got that on a playlist, probably through Spotify, and it'll pop up every now and then, and when it does, of course, I'm singing along in the car, and that last note that he holds forever, I'm
Forever.
always like, how did I know it's coming, but how
Yeah.
do I not get enough breath to sing
Yeah.
along with
Yeah.
that? Because I'm always running out.
Yeah.
Like I can get close, but it's like,
Yeah.
is it because I'm getting older and now my lung
Yeah.
capacity is not as what it used to be? But jeez,
Oh my gosh.
tears it up.
And the way that they sing to one another and look at one another, and I mean, it's just, I mean, that is a great depiction of love in a musical. Yeah. Awesome. What about you? What you
Very,
got?
very
Throw
sad
something.
ending, though. Very
Yep.
sad ending.
Very sad. What you
Um,
got?
well, so you mentioned Annie. That's actually the first musical I remember watching.
Oh yeah.
Because that one, so the 1982 John Huston directed,
Albert Freddie.
Albert Finney playing good old Daddy Warbucks. Yeah, that was for me, and still to this day, like I love that movie. I know that what was it, Disney that came out with like a made for TV
The
reboot?
Victor Garber one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not like it as much, even though I know that it took more from the Broadway
It did. Yeah. It was
musical than
definitely
the
more of
movie,
the
the
play.
original movie
Right.
did.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's just because that was the first one I saw, and so to me, that's the classic. And yeah, gosh, I freaking love that movie. And I remember like, uh, it's so funny. I get to the end, and every time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, why does Carol Burnett, why does Miss Hannigan get to hang out with everybody at the big party at the Warbucks estate? She's riding a freaking elephant. Why isn't she in jail? All right. She was party to a kidnapping
Yeah.
and fraud. All right. At worst, she should be serving time in a jail cell somewhere.
Well, it was
Plus,
really
she's been
her
making bathtub gin. This is prohibition. All right.
her brother, really. I mean, more than anything.
Well, yes, he was the
Bruce.
mastermind, but she was a part of it. They would not have even been able to conceive of that.
I think the real mastermind was Lily St. Regis. I mean, it's all in the subtle.
The hotel lady.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like the hotel.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Oh,
So
Bernadette Peters.
such a good movie. Let's see. I think I'll probably fast forward a little bit here. Because it's not that this is like chronologically in order, it's just the ones that come to my mind,
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
No,
of
we're
course,
not going in any kind of order here.
The Greatest Showman.
Oh my gosh.
I remember when The Greatest Showman came out, I didn't watch it for probably a good 6 months after, and since it had come out.
Oh, really? So you didn't
Um,
see it in the theater?
no, 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 no. So when it came out on video, that's when I first watched it. And I had heard so many great things that I would love it, that it was great. It's Hugh Jackman. And I guess I was not wanting to. I knew it was it's Baz Luhrmann again, I think.
No, it's
But
not.
oh, what was his other one that he did? He did Moulin Rouge, and then he did another one after it.
With the one he did with Hugh Jackman was Australia.
Oh, okay. But anyway, Greatest Showman, when it came out, I didn't want, like, I didn't know how he would be. And do you remember how, like, you just started having movies like Chicago and things like that? There were so many movies that had come out along the way where it was popular for actors to sing. And
Right.
a lot of time people did, and it was good, it was fine. I remember when I saw Pierce Brosnan in Mamma Mia singing, and I was like, "Ooh, it was a noble effort, sir." Some people might like it, but for me, I was like, I just didn't want to see Hugh Jackman, who I loved,
Yeah,
tarnished.
but you do you not realize that Hugh Jackman got his start doing musicals on the stage?
I knew that he had done Australian ballet and that he was known for being a balletist. But I didn't know that he had done singing at the time, and really till now. But
Did you not see Les Miserables?
I had, but again, I don't know that I saw it right away. I just remember being concerned about hearing him and feeling tarnished,
Oh,
by
well,
it. So when I watched it, I was like, this
he's good.
man is amazing.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
amazing.
That one, so I didn't see it right away, but that was one of those movies that word of mouth caught on, and it stayed in the theater for a long time, like longer than you would expect, especially for a movie that came out. I believe it was competing with one of the Star Wars sequels. So it came out the same weekend as Star Wars, and but so obviously it did not do well in its opening weekend, but the people who did see it were talking it up, and like so it stayed in theaters nationwide for I want to say 2 months, maybe longer.
Yeah.
I know, like, my friend Nicole down in Raleigh, she went and saw it, I don't know, probably a dozen times or more. And I went and saw it. I know I saw it twice in the theater. Um because I had seen it by myself, and then a friend of mine was wanting to see it, and I was like, you know what? I'll go with you. I want to see it again. I thought it was brilliant. It was so great.
So
Zac
great.
Efron was good. Zendaya was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I love their duet together.
Oh yeah.
Rewrite the Stars.
Yeah. Stars. Oh,
That's my
man.
favorite song from the
Yeah.
whole thing. But I also love A Million Dreams. I
Yeah.
think is great. Even Pink's cover of A Million Dreams. Have you heard that? Like,
No.
she she did a cover of it for the radio, and it's even that's really good.
Yeah.
So many good. Oh my gosh! And I remember seeing uh it was around the time that it was still in the theater, and they were still talking it up and pushing it on social media. And I came across, there was it was like a behind the scenes um video of them doing um This Is Me at
Yeah.
like a table read kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, just watching them do that song in there, in it's almost like a bunch of people just got together and they're just having a jam session, right?
Yeah.
And watching them do that, and the power they put behind it just in rehearsal, Like
Oh,
I was almost in tears just watching that little video on my computer. And like then to see it in the theater and to see like, what's happening on the screen as part of the story where this song comes out. Yeah, oh, it's a
oh.
tearjerker. It's so
Well,
good.
and even like Never Enough. I remember watching Never Enough and being like, wow. Which of course it wasn't her voice, I mean,
No, no, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that was not her singing.
but it's just amazing. And I was thinking as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, I remember I did watch Les Mis before, but I don't like Les Mis. I loved Les Mis. Don't get me wrong, and we should definitely talk about it. Hugh Jackman's voice was not my favorite in Les Mis. I thought it was good. I thought it was raw. It's very, in that play, it's Jean Valjean's very talky, and
Yeah.
in that kind of singing way, and that's okay. But I didn't really. I remember not thinking to myself, oh, what an amazing voice. I was just like, well, yeah,
Well, I
good,
think you also have to consider the way that Les Mis was made.
right.
That was not a movie that they went into a recording studio and
No,
and
they
sang the
did it
songs and
while
lip
they
synced
were
it.
doing it.
Right.
You're right. They
Yeah.
they absolutely did.
They were
I don't and
singing on set.
I don't want to speak ill of his voice of singing in it. It's just when I heard about Greatest Showman being about circus, and singing, and Zac Efron from the High School Musical is going to be in it, and Zendaya's in it. Okay, great. I'm just kind of like, I really like Hugh Jackman a lot, and I really don't want to see him, fail. And so that's kind of how it came. And boy, he did not. I mean, oh boy, he did not. Do you remember when Phantom of the Opera came out with Gerard Butler back in
Yes.
2004 ish?
Directed by Joel Schumacher of Batman and Robin and Batman Forever and The
Yeah.
Lost Boys.
Oh, well, that's true. Lost Boys. Redeemable.
And got the Client and A Time to Kill. Dude,
Yeah,
he's done so many
and
movies.
Clint's on
Let's not let Batman and Robin tarnish Joel Schumacher's legacy. He's done a
everybody
lot of
has.
great movies.
Spielberg did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I mean, everybody
It's
has a
true.
limit,
It's
you know.
true.
Let's hope that's not Dolls of Destiny. But I remember when I watched that movie, I was so excited to see. And you remember how popular Gerard Butler was around that time,
Yeah, this was before he was just doing disaster movies that went straight to DVD, right?
right? Because he did that time movie with Paul Walker or something. When there's some sort of
Oh gosh, I've got the
what
book
was
it
it?
was based on.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying. That's when
Timeline.
timeline, and that was kind of one of his earlier ones that we had seen him in. And so then this movie comes out years later, and I'm like, meh, meh,
No, and
nothing was touching Moulin Rouge for me.
I
And
think.
then,
Go,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
go finish up.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think with Phantom of the Opera, like, I'd never seen it on stage. Like, there's very few that I've actually seen on stage, and obviously, I've never seen anything on Broadway. Like, I've been to New York a couple of times, but
Yeah,
never had a chance to see anything on Broadway. We were never there long enough, and
yeah,
so it's so I've never had that experience, but I grew up listening to the original soundtrack from the stage
yeah,
production of Phantom of the
yeah,
Opera, where you've got
yeah.
Michael Crawford as
Michael
the
Crawford.
Phantom,
Yeah,
and he has a very distinct
he
voice
does.
as
Yeah,
the Phantom, and
yeah,
it's a tenor voice.
yeah,
And then you bring in Gerard Butler, who is at best a baritone.
yep,
And so the key has changed for so many of the songs in that movie compared to what I was used to with the soundtrack, and always
yeah.
listening to, again, Michael Crawford and oh, who was it that played Christine? She originated the role, and I think she was married to Andrew Lloyd Webber for a while. Um, I can't think of it, but it was like I had those songs like ingrained in my head, and now, you know, this movie comes out, and of course I went to see it because why wouldn't I? And I wasn't disappointed. It was just different.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, when we talk about Gerard Butler doing Phantom of the Opera, I don't think he did a bad job. Again, I was just used to a more tenor, a higher register on those Phantom songs than what he delivered. And talking about Les Mis, my complaint wasn't with Hugh Jackman. My complaint with Les Mis was, sorry to say, with Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I
Sarah Brightman, by the way.
Thank you, Sarah Brightman. Beautiful voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, I think, is a brilliant actor, but he did not sell it for me as a singer, as Javert. I feel like that if they had cast that part with Gerard Butler in the role, I think it might have gone better. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. I feel like I would have rather seen it that way than what we got.
Do you remember when Jeffrey Rush played Javert in the Emma or Uma Thurman,
Uma Thurman, Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson version of Les Mis? It wasn't a musical,
No, yeah, that
right?
was purely based on the book.
But Jeffrey Rush played a good Javert.
Yeah, yeah,
And if we could have just gotten that guy but singing, you know what I
yeah.
mean? I think it would have been better. But
Does Jeffrey Rush have a good singing voice?
no, I don't know. I don't know. I've
I've
not
never
heard
heard
it.
him sing.
But I think to myself, just that character, just being able to see him that way. But yeah, no, those are so good. What other ones do you have?
How do you feel about Little Shop of Horrors?
Oh, I love Little Shop of Horrors.
That is
You know,
one. I don't know what it is about Little Shop of Horrors. It is on HBO Max, and there have been, I don't know how many times since HBO Max became a thing, I've gone on there and I've turned it on just to have it on. Like I'll sit here and I'll watch it. I've probably watched it half a dozen times, but turned it on even more than that just to have it on in the background. Um, and
oh man,
gosh, I love
Suddenly Seymour.
Suddenly Seymour.
Yeah,
Like,
Suddenly Seymour.
oh my
Always. I
gosh.
still remember. I think of Steve Martin being like, "What'd I ever do to you? It's not what you did to me. It's what you did to her. Her who?
For who?
Oh,
Oh,
man, that's a great movie. I think when I watched it, I never really considered it to be a musical like the other musicals that I would watch because it was part of my childhood 80s, kind of I don't know, it didn't hit me like one of those like one of the other ones. But
well, it's nowhere. It's like it's a completely different tone than something you come
yeah,
across with
so
like
totally
South
different.
Pacific or
Yeah,
Oklahoma or something like that.
right.
It's just like this is a comedy and a
Yeah, yeah.
sci-fi horror movie.
Now there's movies like I know we had our podcast on movies you only watch once, but one of those for me that I didn't mention was The King and I. I liked The King and and I enjoy the music. I've got a friend who just who plays drums and all that for the theatrical performance that was just in L.A. And Lewis, shout out to you if you're listening. But he played it's beautiful music, but I again only really watched it the one time and really don't consider that I ever will again. Daffy has like all of these different movies from that time period, including South Pacific, Oklahoma, Music Man, and I've seen them all, but I'm kind of like, Sound of Music, that
Yeah,
kind of scratches
those
the
are
itch.
those are all the ones that mom made me watch, as a kid.
Yeah,
Carousel,
Carousel, right,
Paint Your
right.
Wagon, Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood.
Seven Brides for Seven Sisters. Do you remember that?
No, seven brides for seven brothers.
Seven, oh yeah, yeah,
Seven
that's
Brides for Seven Sisters would be a very different movie. An interesting modern take on the classic, I'm sure.
seems like something that would come out to these days.
Sure, yeah. Um
Woke. I just
so
woke up.
let's talk about Grease for a minute.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is one that shaped my teenage years because for whatever reason, it just like the music from Grease I loved, but it never really hit me until I was an adult just how inappropriate the music for this musical really is. The
Tell
storylines
me
that go
more.
along with it.
Oh, man.
I Grease Lightning, the lyrics for that song are dirty. Just
Pretty dirty.
just
Yeah.
straight up dirty, nasty. That children should not be listening to that song.
No. No.
And yet there I was singing along.
And you know,
What's this mean?
tell me more. You know what I mean? Just, you know.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Did you get very far? What does he mean, get very far, Dad?
Did she put up a fight?
Why aren't we?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like it's like, what were you doing?
What kind of date are you on?
What's
Did you
acceptable
slip something
here?
into her lemonade, Danny? Now I will say that Olivia Newton-John was, I believe, my very first crush growing up.
A lot of people.
And rightfully so. I mean,
Rightfully
seriously, that black spandex outfit at the end.
That'll do it.
I seriously though, I do love the music in it. Summer Nights, I think, is one of my favorite duets. And
Except
then,
am I the only one that doesn't like how Danny Zuko ends it? You know what I mean? Very
where they fly off in a car.
Time. No. On the Summer Nights, you know?
Yeah.
His little high pitch. Nah, you know, I'm just like
yeah, no,
very much
it's not
time,
great,
I suppose.
but I do it every time.
Well, if you got
I thought you were talking about the end of the movie.
No. Flying up
I like how the lesson that you walk away from is change who you are for the person you're in love with.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
If you can't win them over, then you need to change everything about who you are.
Don't change them, change yourself.
She starts smoking, wearing tight black outfits, and does something crazy with her hair. He gets a freaking Letterman's jacket for running track. I mean, what kind of sellout is he?
Once.
Yeah.
Once. Hey, what about Lorenzo Lamas being in the movie, huh?
Oh, that's right. No, Highlander himself. Yeah, he was kind of
Beauty school dropouts should go back to high school. I mean, we know that. That's helpful.
Yeah.
That was the moral of the story.
That was a classic. All right, what else you got?
Let's see here. Well, did gosh, I don't know. You throw one out there.
Well, Hamilton.
I've not seen Hamilton.
Oh, you have Disney Plus and you haven't seen Hamilton?
No.
Have you at least listened to the soundtrack?
Not even a song.
Oh my gosh. All right, we're not going to talk about Hamilton, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's okay. I've already
my
heard.
My cousin is uncultured swine.
Uncultured swine,
dude.
No, I just
your homework is to turn on Disney Plus at some point this week and watch Hamilton. All right.
It is when you have everybody, when everybody's like, oh, you need to see. I get a little like, do I? And you're saying I do.
Yes, you do. Now, don't go into it like, oh, I'm expecting it to be the greatest thing ever.
Is it going to be the greatest showman?
No, but it's an interesting look at American history, and Lin-Manuel Miranda has this way.
That?
Who is that? That's who wrote the music. For Hamilton, and he stars as Hamilton. He is Alexander Hamilton in the play. Yeah, go into it like it's music, it's song, it's rap. There's so much in it that like it's very interesting. And after you watch it, tell me that you don't think that the character of King George III isn't the greatest character in the entire thing.
Okay, all right.
His song is fantastic.
Oh, that's good.
I will just listen to his song over and over again.
There you go.
It's so good. Okay, so that's all we're gonna say about Hamilton until Landon goes and watches it.
All right. Did you ever watch Chicago?
I did, and I wasn't impressed actually. I didn't really care for it.
I watched. I saw it on Broadway, and I watched that and Wicked on Broadway, and so I like the Broadway better. I mean,
Well,
who would?
yeah, yeah.
So,
I haven't seen Wicked, and I know they're coming out with a movie. Like they're making it. I think it's
oh,
filming now.
Wicked, so good. Oh,
Um, I do have I've got the soundtrack for Wicked, and I read the book. But the
Defying Gravity,
musical
right?
is so much different than the book. Oh my gosh, yeah, Defying Gravity is fantastic. So the obviously the
Kristen
soundtrack that
Chenoweth
I
and
have
yeah,
is Kristen Chenoweth and Adele Dazeem. I mean Idina.
Idina Menzel. Yeah, yeah. No,
Sorry, do you remember the Adele Dazeem thing where
no.
John Travolta introduced her at the Oscars?
Oh, he said her name wrong.
He said Adele Dazeem.
He was like,
It's just like, did John Travolta just have a stroke on national TV? Because that's not anywhere close to Idina Menzel.
oh
Yeah,
man,
no. So yeah, I've got the original Broadway recording with them as the lead roles, but oh my gosh, it's
yeah, that
so
would have been
good.
great to see him. I saw it when Peter Scolari before he passed was up there,
Who did he
as the
play? Was he the
wizard.
wizard?
He's the wizard. Yeah.
I think so. I love Defying Gravity, and I know we're off topic because this isn't technically a movie musical yet. But I think my favorite song from that is For Good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, I love their voices together as they do that duet. It's so oh my gosh, it's so good.
So let's talk about another one. This is interesting because people will. A lot of people didn't like it, but Daphne and I really liked it, which was La La Land.
I still haven't seen that
I really enjoyed it. A lot
because
of people
everyone that I
didn't.
talked to didn't like it. And
Yeah,
so I was like, why am I going to spend time going and watching La La Land when nobody I know actually liked it?
I thought it was a good story. When I watched this, A Star Is Born, with I know we don't really get to count that, do we? I don't know if we get to count that, but to me, I enjoyed it as
It's
much as a musical.
it's a musical. I mean, I mean, they burst into song. I mean,
Okay,
I
because
think technically you can call it a musical.
I really love that movie, but and it's the same way La La Land kind of tells a story. Now it may not be a story you like, but it tells a pretty good story. Um, Mamma Mia, we kind of mentioned about Pierce Brosnan. Uh, I mean, I don't know many women that don't love Mamma Mia, and I enjoyed it. The first one and the second one, probably more the first one. But you know, I mean, I could. That's one of those that I've watched it. I've enjoyed it. The music from ABBA will come on, but I'm good either way. What about you?
Um, I think you have to really like ABBA to like Mamma Mia, and I'm
Yeah, I
just
think
not
so
there.
too. Yeah, yeah,
I saw both of them. Of course, the second one came out back when Movie Pass was still a thing,
yeah.
and so it was like, well, why not see it? But I need to see the first one before I see the sequel, and I hadn't seen the first Mamma Mia yet, so I watched Mamma Mia that afternoon, and then that night went and saw Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
Yeah,
That was a lot of ABBA in one day.
that'll do it. Yeah, I think you put in your time.
I
What
did.
did you think about Into the Woods?
I didn't like it. I didn't care for it personally.
I think I need to watch it again because my daughter and my wife really like it,
I
and
am I'm at
I
this
think I need
point
to
not a
try
fan
it
of James
again.
Corden.
Oh, you're not?
No, I think that he's a despicable human being, and let that go on the
Why?
record
How do you know that?
because of the things that he does to people in public.
What did you do?
He's one of those famous people who is a perfect gentleman on camera, but then he treats like wait staff at restaurants horribly.
Is that
He's
verified
that
or is
kind of
that just a
person.
story?
Oh no,
I didn't know those were.
there have been several reports in several different uh uh instances of him acting ridiculous with people who
Why can't
are just
all
trying to
night
help him.
show hosts be as nice as Jimmy Fallon?
I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, personally, I'm just like so
You're over it.
he just leaves a bad taste in my mouth at this point.
Um, what would you say about Hairspray?
That I never saw. Well, I saw the 1989 version.
Yeah.
with Ricky Lake.
Yeah.
Um, but I did not see the remake with where John Travolta was the mom.
I I
Um,
I did
it
not
really
like
didn't
it.
do anything for me,
I
like the
didn't.
original one. So I was like, I'm not gonna watch the remake.
I think he looks better as Danny Zuko, but
Better as Danny than in drag, huh?
talk about a movie that I feel like everybody liked but me. Sweeney Todd.
I didn't
Like
see it.
Sweeney Todd, I hear so many people that are really into it. But my gosh, I watched and I was like, I mean, yeah, not a very good guy. I mean, you
We're supposed
know,
to be rooting for this dude.
yeah.
Nah, I know the story, but I never saw the movie. So, you mentioned High School Musical. Is that something you're into? High School Musical trilogy? No,
No, not in
no.
the
The only
least.
reason, so I liked the first one. I will say that. I thought that the music was very catchy in the first one, and the only reason I watched the first
Like,
one
get your
was
head in
because
the
at
game.
what
Get your head in the game.
get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game.
I actually don't like that one. Start of something new is good. Uh, what's that one at the end? Um, whatever. I did like the first one, and I was forced to watch it because when I was at that time when it came out, it was big among the middle school kids, and I was working as a
Oh,
counselor at a middle school, and so it was like, if I'm gonna talk the language of these sixth graders, I'm gonna have to know what they're talking about. So I did watch the first High School Musical, and then of course because I watched that,
oh,
you
you
got to
had to
watch two and
watch.
three.
Of course.
So
It's so epic.
those come out. But yeah, I like the first one.
My niece Hannah was really into them because they were coming out when she was a kid, and I remember she had posters and she was all in it. And I don't know. I think my wife watched. I don't think my kids, if they have, it's been forgettable. But yeah, I'll tell you the movie that rocked our world in the last 6 months was Spirited. Um, that is a movie that, again, some that I think there were mixed reviews on it, but I love that movie, and we have sang that movie well past the holiday season. How you doing with your dog back there?
Yeah, he's I don't know what he's doing. Go lay down.
But did you watch Spirited, right? We talked about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I
I
loved
don't
it.
think it affected me as deeply as it did you and yours, but
We
it
continue to
was
this
good.
day say to each other, "Good afternoon." You know,
That seems really rude
good
considering what it means in that
afternoon.
movie.
All right. So one of the songs that I sang to my kids when they were growing up was the song from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Gene Wilder's um There Is No Life I Know. How's that song go
Pure
from
imagination.
Pure Imagination? That song is very special to me and our family. And we watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And this movie, I think I watched both that and Oliver um over and over and over and over again. Maybe they were just playing over and over again,
You
but
know,
not Disney.
Willy Wonka is about a man who lures 7 children into his factory and kills 6 of them, right?
You would have thought I like Sweeney Todd out, based
Right. I mean, right?
you know.
It's like Saw the musical. What happening over here?
In all honesty, are you going to tell me they didn't deserve a little punishment?
I mean, it's their own hubris that gets them in trouble, but
And he didn't kill them all. One was shrunk. One turned into a blueberry, had to be juiced. You
and
know,
how do you think they did that? That doesn't sound like they're bleeding her out. Yeah.
it's all part of the experience.
All right. So there have been 2 versions of West Side Story. Have you seen both? And if so,
Yes.
which do you prefer?
I liked the new one. I
Yeah.
did.
I gotta say I
Um,
like the new one better too.
yeah, I did. I
I wish
guess
Spielberg would do more musicals.
I feel like it was honoring to the story. I feel like it was compelling. The voices were amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I also think that maybe I watched the original at a time when I was a little meh about the older classics, and then watching this was like, ooh, I forgot that is a good story.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's basically Romeo and
yeah,
Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. Yeah.
I watched the original when I was going through my AFI top 100 list,
Yeah.
and so it's been fairly recent that I saw. I mean, again, that was one that mom made me watch as a kid because it's one of her favorites.
Yeah.
But I did, as an adult, watch it again when I was doing the AFI list, and really enjoyed it more than I did as a kid. And so I was cautious about seeing the remake. I was like, why are we remaking this movie?
And
It
they're
was fine
constantly
in
doing
the
stuff
60s.
like that. Did you watch, of course, I mean, of course you did, My Fair Lady, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So that was a movie that I watched that I did not expect that I would like, and I really liked it.
yeah.
Um,
I don't
I
like the ending.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I do not like the ending where she
Kind of
goes
hoped
back
you,
to him
right?
and he's just a jerk to her all over again. I mean,
Yep.
come on. Have some self-respect, lady.
Well, it was Rex Harrison, so
It was.
you know. And
Never
then
never sang his lines.
on the other side, a movie I thought I would love and did not like, and this people have different opinions, but Doctor Dolittle. Never enjoyed that movie.
The Rex
Didn't
Harrison
enjoy,
Dr. Dolittle,
yeah,
not
the
the
Rex Harrison. I didn't like the new one either.
yeah.
Just saying, yeah. But I could not ever get into it.
I don't
Tried.
think I ever saw it.
Oh, really?
Um
What'd you think of?
I did see
Yeah,
the Eddie Murphy version of Dr. Dolittle.
oh yeah, yeah, that was
That was
pretty good.
funny.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Um
I like
uh
Daddy Daycare more, but yeah.
all right. How do you feel about Across the Universe? Have you seen that one? It's a
Um,
jukebox musical with Beatles songs.
I've not seen that, and I haven't seen. Wasn't there something with the stars across or the universe or something? There were a couple of movies that
Across
are.
the Universe is this one where it's set with like against the backdrop of the 60s and 70s,
Yeah,
and like tells a story of this guy who he's in England. He goes to America to find his biological father, who had been serving in the war during World War II, and so he goes to America to look for his
yeah,
dad, and he winds up staying in America, kind of illegally. He doesn't have like a green card, or his visa runs out, but he's still here, and like it tells the story of how he meets this family, and one guy gets drafted to Vietnam, and they come across other characters who represent Jimi Hendrix and Janis
oh,
Joplin, and
nice.
it's really good. It's
Oh,
a really moving story, and again, with all the songs of the Beatles peppered in throughout the story, it's really well done.
oh,
I loved it. I thought it was great.
I'll have to check it out. Um, and I know that a lot of people like Pitch Perfect movies, but those wouldn't be considered musicals, right? Because they literally are singing. It's not like they're singing and performing, right?
um I You can't. I mean, if you're going to consider A Star Is Born a
That's
musical,
why I was kind of on the fence there because it's
like
what do
if you
you
were to,
classify it as, you know?
I think if you were to Google like movie musicals, like a list of musicals, I think
Pitch
Pitch
Perfect
Perfect would probably be on
will
the
show up.
list because I
Well,
mean they're singing throughout the movie.
I love Pitch Perfect. We all love it in our household.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
I could do without the sequels, but the first one I thought was really good.
Just Elizabeth Banks and the other guy.
Oh
So
yeah,
oh,
I do like so the whole acapella thing I thought was really interesting, and I had no idea that this was really a deal where like this is a popular thing going on in college campuses, and so of course when Pitch Perfect came out, I was living in Blacksburg, home of Virginia Tech, and I actually worked at Old Navy with a girl who was a student at Tech at the time, and she was a part of an all girls a cappella group at Virginia Tech.
yeah.
And so she invited us all to come to her their concert, and at the end of it, they did the finale from Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. Like
That's awesome.
on stage, like they got the choreography great, and like the harmonies were fantastic. It was so good.
Just an awesome ending. Did you ever watch that Mary Martin Peter Pan?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, that's rough.
I've never understood why a girl had to play Peter Pan.
No. I was trying to think. There's some other ones. I was just looking at a list here. So,
well, we talked about Wicked a while ago. What about The Wizard of Oz?
Of course.
That's in my top 10 of all-time favorite movies. So,
yeah, Wizard of Oz. That's absolutely wonderful. I need to watch it again too, because I can't think of a single time that I've come back to it that I've watched that I haven't just really valued it. Do you remember Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Oh yeah.
Man, that was a hardcore.
Mostly because it scared me.
It scares you. Oh my gosh.
The Banshee.
Banshee. Wowzer. It's a kids movie, right? So yeah, but Sean Connery, that is such a good movie. Yeah, that's a good one. I never saw Rock of Ages.
Did you ever didn't see that one either. No.
Of course, it's worth mentioning Guys and Dolls, but I don't think I ever saw Guys and Dolls actually.
I've never seen that.
Let's
see. The last one I've got on my list is Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. Did you see the Mary Poppins Returns?
I did.
Did you like it or not?
Not really.
I thought it was pretty good, but of course.
By the way, that's Lin-Manuel Miranda in that as well.
Oh, okay.
Is it Bernard?
Who?
The character's name?
Oh, the guy who plays the chimney sweeper?
Is he a chimney sweep? He's kind of the new Bert.
Bert. Yeah.
He's not Bert because Dick Van Dyke is old, and this takes, like, Mary Poppins Returns takes place 30 years later.
Got it.
No, Lin-Manuel Miranda is the
He's
guy.
The Bert-esque character.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I know that guy. Yeah.
Okay, that's Hamilton.
He plays Hamilton. Well, there you go. I think I'll have to watch it now.
And he wrote the music for Moana as well.
I've never seen Cabaret. Cabaret is another one that I haven't seen. Trying to think if there's any other ones that kind of come to mind, but we sure did cover them well.
Nah, my list is done. It was pretty exhaustive, I thought.
I mean, we had a lot, and so I've got homework. I've got to watch Hamilton.
You need to watch Hamilton, yes, sir. And
I know we already said it, but A Star Is Born was a really good movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was awesome. No, I think we've done good.
A little heartbreaking, but it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen out there in podcast land, if we fail to mention your favorite movie musical, please jump in the comments and let us know what your favorite is. If you've got a favorite song from one of these musicals that we talked about, let us know. Hit us up.
And now for the next 20 minutes, we'll be singing those songs. So feel free to.
We certainly will. I'm going to jump off of here and I'm going to turn on Little Shop of Horrors all over again. I'm probably going to fast forward to Suddenly Seymour.
Suddenly Seymour.
Which would probably be easier if I just pull it up on Spotify. But anyway, again, if you've liked what you listened to or saw here on YouTube, be sure to tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. We want to have more and more viewers and listeners. We'd like to have can we say 10 followers by the end of the year?
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Are we shooting for the stars there?
Listen, you gotta hang tight.
All right, well, let's go 5. 5. All right, guys. Landon, anything else you want to add about movie musicals before we hang up our hats?
No, just fun talking.
Yeah, you're the only one wearing a hat. I'm not wearing one.
And Daddy Warbucks.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, Luthor.
All right. Well, again, please let us know what you think of the show. but only if it's positive and you got 5 stars to share. But other than that, we hope that you have a great whatever it is wherever you are.
Bye-bye.